Today on Drawbli.
It's a head-to-head battle of titans.
Hey, I'm Ben.
And I'm Abby.
I'm one of the titans that's a self-taught artist documenting our journey of learning to draw, which is of course better with friends.
So click that subscribe button if you're new around here and share your artwork on Instagram with #Drawbli.
So yes, we are titans of the art world.
Of the art industry.
We've been learning to draw for a year and 6 months.
Yes.
We're pretty much like the best artists on the
The
internet.
best artist. Well, one of us is the best artist of us two. And I think today that artist is... Oh, I won't say. We'll get there.
No
We'll get there.
spoilers.
No spoilers.
Even though people already saw the thumbnail with the finished artwork.
But they don't know whose is whose yet. They've already decided, but they're like...
I think they could guess.
I think they can tell where this is going. Well, congratulations on your big win. But let's see what I can do.
This is our second time doing this idea where we both took the same portrait and both tried to draw it just to like kind of compare and see where we were. Abby 100% won the last one. By quite a bit.
I don't know. It didn't feel like a good win though.
No, it was. You very much deserved it. I never got my portrait off the ground. Honestly, if I was drawing that by myself, I would have got an hour in and I would have said, I'm done with this and I'm gonna move on to something else because I am not enjoying working on this and I'm just like, it's not going anywhere. Mm-hmm. However, we had a total of 4 hours that we could work on for our portraits. So I was like, I have to work on this for another 3 hours. Great.
Yeah.
This one was a lot more smooth. I don't think I even hit 3 hours on this. I got to about the 2 hour mark and I was like, I don't know what else to do on this. I guess I'll just spend some time cleaning it up.
Nice. Yeah, no, your finished product looks incredible. I didn't really know where to start or what I was doing with this one, but I gave it my best shot.
Yeah, I mean, you're already adding color.
I know.
Look at you go.
Unlike our last round where I was like adding color only after the 90-minute mark, I just kind of jumped in on this one around the 30 to 45-minute mark on
See,
color.
I did the opposite here where I have my rough sketch and now I'm doing a secondary sketch on top.
Huh, so what's the pattern here? The person who spent the longest on their sketch is seeing the most success.
Gasp.
We'll have to...
We figured out the secret to art.
Our scientific study with a total of 2 experiments.
Yes, a sample size of 2,
Yes.
which is of course just factual
Very
evidence.
reliable,
Yeah.
very valid, and repeatable. It's very repeatable. That's a sign of a good scientific study,
2
right?
people walked outside in the sun and got cancer, therefore you should never go outside again.
Right, exactly.
That's just science.
That's just the end size, baby.
So I'm just now starting to add my base color on, which I tackle in terms of just laying my flat colors on for like my different areas. So like my skin, my hair, my clothing, whatever. What's your strategy there?
I was really believing I would run into happy accidents, and I was just gonna splatter down color and light pieces and these pieces of blue.
So bold of you.
And I just felt like the brush was gonna land in just the right way where it would look freaking cool.
And?
Well, honestly, I don't hate it right now.
No, it does look cool.
It kind of does, but you know me, I can't just leave well enough alone.
Tell me about this blue that you're putting on the face.
I saw you do blue on yours, and I wanted to try.
You little cheater.
Well, I'm not a cheater. Every artist learns and copies other artists.
You saw me put blue on my...
Yeah.
I knew it. I knew you couldn't come up with the color blue on your own.
Oh, gosh.
My own original idea.
Your own original color, the color blue?
Yeah.
Nobody's ever painted with blue before. It's a
Yeah, I'm kind of a pioneer around here.
Yeah, definitely.
I do end up using this color on the face that I think is really interesting later. It comes out as this almost greenish bluish tone on the face, but if you sample it, it's actually yellow.
Oh, fascinating.
It just really strongly reads as more cool because of all the warm stuff next to it.
Oh, interesting. That's so cool.
Yeah, like by itself, it's not a visually appealing color, but next to everything else, it looks super cool.
Wow, awesome.
So yeah, I'm adding in my blue on my face. Like I said, my own original idea.
I love how you really nailed the structure of this face on your first time around.
Thank you. Well, not my first time around. I did erase a lot and do a second sketch on top.
But my point being, like, you went in with the color kind of after you'd really established where jaws were, eyes, nose, etc. I kept adjusting that throughout my portrait, and it goes to show, I think, once again, that it's so important to spend time on the sketch process and make sure that's where you like it before you go in with the paint, if you're going to do a sketch at all.
Absolutely.
Versus allo primo.
Alla prima.
Yes.
Always.
Always.
No aloe.
I don't know.
Aloe vera. One thing I did try here, because I was at the time looking through Loesch's, what's her newest book? Is it The Style of Loesch, I think?
It might be.
So I was looking through The Style of Loesch, and she had mentioned coloring her lines in that book, which is something I've seen her do before, and I've played around with it as well. But something that was unique with my line coloring here was, instead of just like choosing one color, I created a mask on top and like painted different colors in different parts for the lines.
Okay.
So like around the face, I kept it like more warm, but like under the jaw, I made it darker for the shadow. And now I've combined it all, and now I'm starting to like blend it all together and render it out.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
now I'm like, I really do like the process of starting with a really solid structure, but then eventually getting to a point where you combine everything and then start rendering it all, where you're
Okay.
like more free form.
I like that energy of, keeping up with and pursuing new ideas and information to improve your art, rather than just approaching a piece from start to finish without looking at any of that, which is what I've done here, and which is what I mentioned in our previous video, that I really felt in these portraits like I kind of hit a ceiling with what I was able to do, and it made me really think it's time to start a new tutorial, because I just felt so stuck, or to review tutorials that we have already purchased.
Yeah, because I don't think you've like taken a step backwards or anything. Where you're at right now is actually the stage where you're about to make a breakthrough. The stage where you feel like stuck, or you feel like you're in a rut. You're in the you currently feel like your skill is lower than it actually is.
I think the key here too is to know that that's on the horizon, not get discouraged, not say, let me take a break, let me come back to this, because then I think I'll lose that momentum and energy. But right now, when I feel the most like, it's just not doing what I wanted to do, this is a good moment to push and to really try to learn something while I'm still fueled by that frustration of like, this just isn't the way I want it to be. Not take a week off, but to get even more into this.
Yeah, it really depends. I mean, like, burnout is definitely a thing, and is something that we've talked about on Drawbli before. But yeah, I think it really depends on like what you want to accomplish, and a tutorial might be the answer there. Who knows?
Yeah, it just might be.
I have a question for you, Abby.
What's your question?
I could not figure out this little piece of light on her upper lip, just like right in front of the corner there. What even is that? Like, I couldn't figure out the shape. I couldn't make it look good.
Don't ask me about lips. This whole time I was painting this, I kept getting to a point where I'm like, okay, I'm pretty happy with everything.
Were the lips the hardest part?
And the lips are just, always. The lips are so difficult for me. Even if I feel like, I understand the form of lips. I know that there's circles here and round here. But just communicating that and having the skill to communicate the shift in hue and value, which is very subtle, but very important, is so incredibly difficult. So what did you end up doing?
Well, I initially got the structure really solid in my drawing, and I was happy with them at that stage. I do make some adjustments later on, like I changed the shape a little, but like not like major changes. So I really think nailing the structure early on is super helpful. And it's gonna save you from having to repaint stuff a million times over, which is what I was doing in my last portrait, which is really frustrating because I think if you just spend a little more time, like I think 5 minutes in the early stage can potentially equate to like 50 minutes later on that you just keep redoing and redoing.
Right. It's so important to get your sketch done and make sure you understand the form and placement of different features.
Yeah, we should definitely do, we were talking about like switching up the structure of what we work on in terms of, we've been doing so many portraits lately. I think maybe just doing some studies of some different facial aspects, since we haven't done that in so long, would be really cool.
A lip study would probably be called for at this point.
A lip study, a nose study, an eye study.
Yeah.
Working on some different angles and perspectives,
yeah, because we
especially.
talked about working that into the rotation of what we work on. Not that we currently have a rotation, but we intend to. So stay tuned for rotations.
Yeah, I mean, that would definitely save us from getting to a place where I'm like, I haven't, painted an animal in 3 months or 6 months or whatever. We've just been on a big portrait kick. But I love painting faces so much. I think it's so much fun to work on characters.
And if that's what's keeping this fun for us, then it's important to keep doing it. That's true. But I think that a rotation sounds like a great idea, because what does a great portrait deserve? A wonderful environment to put it in. And
yes.
Wouldn't that be cool to be able to put not just like a great environment, not just a great portrait, but both together?
That might be actually something really interesting to do. Find like some kind of small environmental painting tutorial that we can work on, because that is extremely different than what we've done up to this point on Drawbli. I think we can... I think I could count on like 2 hands how many times we've done like an environment.
Yeah, just environment without a focal point or piece in the environment.
Like without a character.
Yeah, or a sheep in my
Or
case.
a sheep, yeah, or an animal or anything like that. I don't know what it is. I think it's the perspective that makes it so difficult. Because when you're talking about a character, you're talking about like a 3-dimensional form in the outside of it. But when you're talking about an environment, or like think like a room, you're like inside the object.
Yes.
So it's like the inverse in terms of perspective.
It's true. That's a good way of putting it. It's the inverse of painting a portrait. That is excellent.
It's very confusing for my brain, since we haven't done that many. So every time I sit down to do a landscape, I recently did one, and I was like, I'm gonna do this for Drawbli, and I worked on it for I think an hour and a half. I'll show it here on screen because I'm not gonna do anything with it for Drawbli. I was like, yeah, maybe this isn't worthy of a Drawbli episode. But I was listening to some podcasts, so I was
you were vibing. You were having a good time.
Kind of vibing, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
I was vibing on this portrait.
You were vibing on this portrait. Good.
Were you vibing on this portrait?
No. I was definitely hitting that same struggle bus. Like, the eye was giving me a lot of trouble. I don't know. I wasn't so much vibing as I was just trying, and having that feeling of like pushing myself to improve was good. So feeling like, okay, even if I can't feel it right now, I am getting a little bit better just by the act of trying on this for so hard for so long.
So here's a question for you. You started this portrait completely different than the last one.
Yeah.
Was that intentional?
Honestly, I remember when I started it, it was the end of the day, and I wasn't as like focused and energized as I was when I started the previous portrait. I was sitting, in a comfy chair here at home, and I felt like I needed to get started on it because I wanted to get started on it so we could record it this week. And so I just kind of haberdashery went for it. And there was a lot less careful intention in the beginning stages of this portrait than with the previous one. And I think it shows.
I do think that shows as well, because in the last portrait, that's how I was with that one as well. I was in a kind of a similar mental state in terms of the process that I was laying down. But with this one, I felt really good about the structure for my process. And I think that's totally fine, because we're still experimenting a ton here on Drawbli.
Yes.
We're trying to figure out exactly what works and what doesn't with what we do.
What gave you the idea to use this bright blue color to fade in as highlights?
I do this all the time. when I'm painting. You've seen me do this many times, but specifically that bright blue was used because on the face there are these like areas of bluish hue in the reference. They're not quite bluish. That's maybe not the correct way to describe that, but my eyes are picking up on little areas that are cooler than the surrounding warmth. So by taking this extreme blue color and then fading that out, I can start to kind of create that effect. And I can exaggerate it. And I think that's like a big part of my style that I like to do. I like to take these big pieces of color and sometimes exaggerate them, especially in these like kind of hard-edged polygonal shapes.
Yeah.
I think it creates a really cool aesthetic.
I love those hard edges.
I think that's become like a part of what I create. So I really enjoy doing that. I think when you're creating a painting, I think it's boring to go for like a one-to-one photorealism.
Definitely.
It should be fun to look at, and I think that this is a really fun to look at aspect.
Absolutely. I think you did a great job, and your color shifts are very engaging and exactly that, very fun to look at. So great job. Do you think that you did like 80% of the work or whatever in 20% of the paint, whatever that 80-20 rule?
Do you think I did that, or what is your question?
Do you think that you got like 80% of the work done in the first 20% of working on this? I forget how that rule works. Just whatever I'm trying to ask you.
That idea is used in two different ways. Like put in 20% of the work for 80% of the result is one of them. But or what you're saying is in the first 20% of this drawing, did I do 80% of the work? Which is probably more so the case because I pretty much laid down the groundwork during the sketch and did all the hard work then, and now everything I'm doing kind of feels like
play almost.
A lot easier. I mean, I was an hour or so, hour and a half into this.
That's incredible. It looks so good.
No, that's not where it is right now.
Okay.
Actually, this is maybe like close to 2 hours.
Yeah.
But I was an hour and a half into this, and I was like, oh, like I could call this done, but like it just needs a lot of cleanup. And essentially, I felt like all the hard stuff was pretty much finished, and now I'm just like sitting here getting to have fun and like, add more stuff, like add some eyelashes, add some details. And that's how it should be, in my opinion. I was asking you about your process earlier, because if I go through my structured process like I'm doing here, I tend to have a lot better results. Whereas if I go in without much of a plan, it tends to either go really well or go really bad. And it's not like, it's kind of like a coin flip.
Yeah, that's exactly how it feels when you go in without. I think that's a really good way of putting it, like that coin flip sense of, well, maybe these brush strokes that I'm putting down kind of willy-nilly will get me to a really cool place, or maybe I'll just end up repainting the lips 50 times and never get them to a point where they look satisfactory. So yeah, planning and laying down your structure is so important.
So yeah, I think for your next piece, if you do another portrait or whatever you do, maybe consider thinking about your process a little more. I'll be doing the same because I don't want what happened during the last portrait to happen again here.
And I don't want what happened during this portrait to happen again for me.
I mean, this one looks great. I think you did a really good job on this one.
It just took a lot of like noodling and like changing when I feel like I could have had so much more of this like completed and to a point that I liked from the get-go a lot sooner.
I mean, you have a lot of aspects of yours that I enjoy more than mine. I think your hair is pretty much always better than mine. I don't know how you get these like brush strokes of texture for the transitional areas like behind the ear there. I'm gonna have to learn how to do that from you because you always do a really good job on that, and mine right now is like this big triangular piece just slapped on there. It looks really flat and weird.
Oh, well, I had a hard time not making mine look kind of tentacly there, and
I need the tentacly hair.
You need the tentacly hair? Well,
I do.
It's not hard to get. You just scribble with a I found the calligraphy set to be a pretty good match for that, actually. Yeah.
You heard it here, folks. The calligraphy brush is the new hairbrush.
Yes, choose one at random. I like the chalk brush a lot. Yeah.
Just use random brushes. Abby, I've tried the whole random brush thing in the past. It does not go well for me.
No, no, I know. It always seems like a good idea.
Well, I guess in terms of my final details, I throw in some random paint here on the face.
This is so
red,
amazing that you can
yellow.
just do that and have it look good.
I faded out to like 3%, so it's just barely on there, creating a few textured brush strokes. And it's not even really noticeable here at the end. Like, you just barely see it. But it does have some of those like fun elements here and there.
Yeah, no.
And some of them are, in my opinion, a little heavy-handed, but I don't know.
I
kind of like it.
love all of it. No, I think you did an incredible job, and I am quite happy to concede Best Portrait to you this week because yours is so good and so happy and fun to look at.
And if you would like to concede Best Portrait to me, you can click that like and subscribe button.
And share your work on Instagram with #Drawbli because drawing is better with friends.
And this is the part where we say
Goodbye.
Goomba.
I loved this. This was so fun. It didn't feel like really, really competitive.
No, it wasn't meant to be
I
competitive.
love drawing the same thing as you, and I hope we can do that again soon.
We absolutely will.
Yay.